This is Keith. This is the Citizen Effect podcast. I'm 100% of Whiddon Criminal Defense, 50% of Erase My Arrest, and live and in person this week, we are joined again by Mr. Devin Jones.
Devin Jones, partner Eorm Young, one half of Erase My Arrest. And today our guest is Miss Kenya.
Hello, everybody.
So I'm very excited to have you in the studio today.
I'm excited too.
Because you bring so many different views, not only from the legal system, the community. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way.
Okay.
I want you to go ahead and tell everybody, number one, where they can find you on social.
Okay.
And also, what you're involved in. Give us a real quick rundown, and then we'll go from there.
All right. So I am Kenya Roberson on all platforms. I am also the executive director of the Monroe Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. You can find us with Monroe Black Chamber on Facebook as well as Instagram. And I am super excited to be here. I am also on the board for the Renaissance Committee, who does the Black History Parade here, as well as I'm the vice president of the Alumni Association.
So clearly involved in the community.
Yes.
And as we were talking about before we actually hit record, you've also been in the legal system by one way or another since you were 17 years old. I wasn't going to talk anything about being 20 years. You did that. Been in it since you were 17 years old. Mm-hmm. So where do you want to start? Because I told you this was your show.
So I think I would probably start with me starting in high school. Okay. I always had the desire to actually be an attorney, to be honest. And I had children and all of that, but it's just always been a concern of mine and a passion of mine in terms of law. Always been a heart of mine. And then serving the people. And I truly believe that everything happens for a reason, and everyone has a passion and a purpose. And I truly know that I'm fulfilling my purpose and my passion now.
Okay. So you hitting on that touches on one thing that we are, whenever we start, I said, look, we try and interview people that are involved in the community, involved in the legal system, business owners, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But there is a very important undertone, if not overtone, in all of our podcasts about what is it about fulfilling your purpose, about finding your purpose, about, satisfaction with yourself. What is it that gives you the confidence that you are in fact fulfilling your purpose today?
When I can wake up and not be angry to serve the people.
Okay.
I know that I am fulfilling my purpose and my passion. It's not a day go by that I am not helping somebody, whether it's on the Black Chamber side or it's on the criminal side. I am always able to help. And sometimes helping is not, the most favorable help, mm-hmm. but sometimes it's needed. Mm-hmm. And so I have been able to be blessed to be put in a position to where I am able to help.
How long did it take you, though, to get to this place where...
So, of course, when you're 17, you're trying to find your way. Not only was I trying to find my way, but I was a parent. Mm-hmm. So, and I had them back to back. So, of course, I had to, within that, I had to find my way. And I had to understand what I was here to do. And I probably would say around 27 was when I fully knew that my purpose was to be where I was. Mm-hmm. Because at one point, I thought that I wanted to be a business administrator. I wanted to have a bunch of employees under me. I wanted to be able to have a firm, But then when I got to begin to study government, mm-hmm. and I began to learn politics, and I began to learn and see things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then I say, well, how do you change these things? How do you make these things better? Mm-hmm. And so the only way to do that is to serve and to be able to educate the community on what they should do and what they should not do. And then to point out the areas to where there are flaws.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think today helps you achieve that? Because you've talked about how, there are big changes coming down the line. Mm-hmm. So do you feel like you already transitioning into where maybe you're doing less and less in your role in the judicial system and doing more and more in your role in the community, whether it be through the Black Chamber or through the Renaissance Project?
I truly believe that my end result will be the community.
Mm-hmm.
I have been faithful to government and to the judicial system, since I was in high school. But everything comes to an end, and then you transition or you decide what's next. And so God has allowed me to not just wait until it's over, but to begin the process while ending one.
Yeah. Well, what encouraged, or not encouraged, but what motivated you, or what led you to even starting the Monroe Regional Black Chamber of Commerce? Because that was what, 5-6 years in
Yes.
the making now, or
Yes.
5-6 years active now?
So I can tell you, for me, when COVID hit, it really was a reality check for me.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of different areas. Of course, I have some businesses as well. COVID hit, you had to restructure. We didn't know that everyone was going to have to wear masks. We didn't know that you would have to be able to run everything from your laptop or from your desktop at home. You couldn't have customer contact, all of that. So a lot of our small business owners were not ready or equipped for that type of drastic change, because it wasn't like, okay, you got a year to get ready. It was like, boom, now it's what? So, I'm a go-getter, but a lot of people aren't.
No.
So they actually need a roadmap or a guide or some type of mentor or some advocate to be able to help them. And so gradually people began to call and they began to say, okay, well, how do I do this? And I was already on the state board for the chamber. And so when I would go to the meetings, they were like, well, who's running the chamber in Northeast Louisiana? I was like, well, I got to find someone. No, we got her. We're looking at her,
Yeah.
So that's how it all unfolded. And so from there, then, you begin to structure and you begin to chat, with the businesses and say, hey, what are you needing? Some of them was financial literacy, because of course, PPP, right?
Yeah. Okay,
well, in order to obtain PPP, you have to have all your financials in order. You have to have everything, in line. Well, some of our small businesses did not have that. So they needed that extra guidance, to get you ready. So if something like this ever was to happen again, then you'll be eligible, to apply. The other part of it is an education part. We have to make sure that we are educated. We have to make sure we're investing into the education. You can't expect everyone to give you something. I think that mindset needs to shift in the community. No one is entitled. No one is entitled. If you feel like that you're entitled, you're not going to succeed.
Right.
You have to be willing to get up every day, put your clothes on, put your big girl clothes on. I'll say that, and get it. Don't take no for an option. It doesn't matter how many no's you get. All you need is one yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Whether it's the yes from you or the yes from someone else. That's all you need. And if you do that, God will work out the rest.
Yeah. But what did it look like actually saying, okay, you are going to be the person in Northeast Louisiana? And I think it's great that you touch on that point, because, moments in history are like that. Rosa Parks didn't set out to be the first Black woman to sit on a bus. She was like, I was tired because I was at work all day and I wanted to sit down.
That's right.
That's why I sat down.
So I think something has to be in you. You may not know it at the time, but sometimes other people can see it and you can't. And I know in high school, I was our class president. So I did everything, all of our parties, organized all the meetings, all of that. Right. I then became, even after high school, still with children, still doing things. I was I was president of my PTO for my children at every school they went to. I never missed anything. I just knew that, and I knew that statistics were against me, right? I was an African-American woman. I had 4 children, right? And so I had not finished college at the time. So I had things already stacked against me, right? So I was determined that those things were not going to define me. I was going to be different.
Mhm.
And I was going to be okay with being different, you know? And so my confidence always increased, always increased. And I realized that people were not going to be my cheerleaders. It was going to be me. I didn't have many people to say, oh yes, you can do this. You got 2 babies. You're going to be a great, no, what I did, I had opposite. You're not going to finish school. You're not going to be able to be successful. You've stopped your career. You've chosen to have babies, And so I knew at that point, I got to turn all of that around and show them and be different and be okay with that. And then become a legacy. Yes. I want to make sure that my children know that their mom never stopped. Mm-hmm. They had a hardworking mama who didn't take it much from people, but was confident to know that she was okay with being who she is and that her work ethic was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Look, I remember 3 years ago, I'd watch you on Facebook selling the jewelry, selling the clothes, always hustling. Mm-hmm. I flipped on, what was I was watching a meeting, the Monroe City meeting, and there's Kenya. I said, look, I've done municipal work probably 7 years now. And I thought, she's actually asking the questions that people show up and should ask. It's what drove you to just start showing up? Because just so many people don't. Right. It's amazing. I sit there at these meetings and things pass. We were discussing this earlier. Mm-hmm. Just people don't show up and ask a question.
So I think for the age bracket of, let's say, 25 to 45, okay? In that age group, you're trying to find your way, but you're looking at social media. You're looking at a lot of social media for a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. For self, you're trying to see how can you be like certain people. You're trying to see, well, will this person be okay if I did these things? You're just trying to find yourself. But if people actually decided to do more research and to become more educated and watch the news versus the media, read the newspaper versus going to the parties, you have to invest in your community. You have to invest into what's going on around you. You have to learn, with voting. Yeah, we say vote, vote, vote all the time. But are we truly understanding the power of the voting? Do we know which district we live in? Do we know if we vote for this, what the consequences are after that? I think that if they truly, truly did more research on what is going on, and listen to what is being voted on at council meetings, school board meetings, police jury meetings, all of that, then they would have a different mindset. I think we follow who we socialize with. We allow them to make a decision for us.
It's funny. I always tell people when doing all this municipal work, people get so enthralled to go vote every 4 years, but they forget that these people vote every month and nobody ever shows up to the votes that count, which are every month.
No, not at all. And then the thing about that is, I think we start when they're 17. Okay, yes, we need to get them registered to vote. No, we need to do it prior to that. We need to be instilling in the youth how important it is to vote. So by the time they get there, they're already excited to want to vote. And it's like at 17, okay, yeah, we got to get them registered to vote because we need those votes. It's really late. You're late in the game at that point. You need to do it earlier. And then the person's, there should be some type of government class in high school.
You say that. I will say this. In bankruptcy, we have approximately 5,500 clients. You've come to the office numerous times to talk to me. You've seen it. Mm-hmm. I interview around 2,000 people a year. Mm-hmm. I went to some of the local people, elected people, and I said, hey, why don't you get together and we teach a financial literacy class? What I see day in and day out. So let's just go teach people. Mm-hmm. It'll probably put me out of business, and I'm not upset about that because that's a better person and a better community.
That's right.
And that's really all you want.
That's right.
And that's what I see with the both of us is that I'll be fine. The community will be fine. But you would be amazed how many people said, yeah, call me later.
That's right.
It's astounding. A lot of times these are people we vote on every 4 years. We don't realize the 4 years worth of votes they did for us.
Yes, that's right.
So that's why I thought when you were at that meeting, you just simply asked why. And some people don't like to be asked why.
No, and I
but
get
it's
that.
For the community.
And I get that, and just as I say, you have people who are in those positions that you are over, the budgets, you're over if anyone gets a promotion, you are up for evaluations and all of that. Your decision is affecting someone's livelihood.
Exactly.
For however many years that you are voting on this specific thing. And what I think happens, we think about up here and not the people down here. And I have once been those people down here. Now, I'm not saying I'm up here, but I know I'm not down here anymore. And what I vow to never do is to never forget the little people. I never forget even the people who empty my trash, the people who are at McDonald's, the people who, are doing the things that we take for granted, right? Those are the people that mean the most, because you couldn't be here if you didn't have the people doing the work that you are, overseeing. And so I think for me, that's what makes my good job so easy. And I don't mind doing it, is because I'm being an advocate for the people who know they can't come to the mic because they don't want to be ostracized for speaking up. So I can come to the mic because I'm not employed by you. You don't pay my bills. So I have no reason I can take the flack. I'm okay with that.
It's so funny in watching, and I've been to those meetings, when you ask the simple question of, well, why are y'all doing this? To watch just the reactions of people.
It surprises them.
Yeah.
It surprises them because
at
first, no, and it's not, it's
and that's
not
what people don't understand.
It's not personal. It's not meant to be mean. I truly care.
Yeah.
I truly care. I don't have a motive. I'm not running for an office. All of those things seem to come into play when people are coming. They want a platform to be able to be seen, or they have, they're getting ready to run for office, so they're getting their campaign literature together, talking points, all of that. That's not me. But what I can say for me, I want what's right for everybody. Whether you're black, blue, green, purple, it doesn't matter to me. I just want you to be able to be treated fair and just. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I can sleep good knowing that I have spoken up for you. And then they have to decide if they are going to do what's right or if they are going to do what's wrong. And then at the end of the day, that's on them. But as long as I do my part, and I am, I do it from the heart, I do it from a spirit of help, and I do it from a spirit of love. And I think if we had more unity and more love in this community, we could get so much done. We have a lot of crime going on in this area, and we are so busy bickering over money. And we're so busy bickering over things that have nothing to do with why our children are being put in jail, why they are killing, why they are not being educated to the degree that they need to. We are behind in times. And I would hope that in the future that we can come together and be unified. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter your age. It just matters at the ultimate what the ultimate goal is. And that is for us to be a better community, a safer community, and be unified in love.
Well, I'll tell you something. The other day you reached out to me and you said it was the Watson.
Yep, it was
Watson girls basketball team
right.
was
That's
going
right.
to the championship.
That's right.
And they were going to take a school bus.
Yeah.
And you said, look, we're going to get a Mayo tour bus.
That's right.
And I thought, what you don't know is I don't donate to football programs.
Really?
For the most part.
Didn't know that.
And there's a reason why. Because they're solvent. And they have their own basis. The school gives them money. The school allocates them money. But what they don't allocate to is what they call non-revenue generating sports that aren't self-sufficient.
That's right.
And so what I love is that these people, a lot of times you'll have a kid who wants to power lift.
Yes.
And I've run into this before, but they can't afford to power lift. So a lot of what I love to do with donations is just give it to the programs that are non-revenue generating, so every kid can play. And I thought, and the sum that you asked for was not even a whole bunch of money. And I thought, if she'd asked for 10 times that, I'd have wrote the check.
I know.
Because it's just common sense.
Mm-hmm.
If these kids are involved in their community,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
these kids will not be involved in other things.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's the thing. See, I have an issue with, we have all of this COVID money that came through, right? And so why is it that if we want the children to play for high school, whatever sport it is, right? Why do they have to do fundraisers?
It's atrociously expensive.
Yeah.
And we have all this money.
Right. And see, that's my thing. You know, I don't understand, why can't we take that off of the coaches, take it off of the parents, provide it, give them everything that they need so that they can perform, not only with sports, but academics. With academics. Luckily, you know, some children are fortunate enough to be able to provide the things that are needed, but there are some children that don't have those things. They don't eat. They come to school to eat.
Yeah,
that happens.
That's the meal they know they're getting.
Yes, you know you're going to get that. So why can't that be their safety net? Why can't that be their safety net? Why do we have to beg and plead? I call it for books.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why? Why can't that already be established? Why? And we focus on some other things. Again, our focus is wrong. I have an issue with the security system within the schools.
And it's shocking when you hear at the end of the year, and you'll listen to these budget reports, and you can pull budget reports
Mm-hmm.
from the legislative audit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these places have $1 million surpluses that are sitting there.
Right.
And we have kids who can't get the proper bag to go to basketball.
No. Or the uniform.
Right.
Or a change of uniform. You don't have more than one uniform. Absolutely.
The simple things.
The simple things.
You will actually be shocked. This is not limited to what we would traditionally think the schools were limited to.
Mm-hmm.
There are some big name schools. West Monroe is one of them. There are programs there that are completely funded by the parents.
Yes.
And it's astonishing.
Yes.
That they can't get instead of being able to play sports, they have to worry about, can they afford to play?
Yes.
That should be something that's
right.
never on. That's something that endeared me. It's just that I don't, it's something I personally don't agree with.
I know.
I agree. I just think we have enough funds.
I agree. And if we don't have them, then we need to be talking to our legislation. Then we need to be making some adjustments and some changes, because there are some issues. And I think, you know, people have to be okay with understanding this is not personal. This is not personal. This is for the people. These are for our children. And unfortunately, it's sad to say that if we don't change, it's not going to get any better.
Well, because we already have a problem of attracting talent to the area, or keeping talent in the area. And so
they go away.
What is it that's going to keep people in the area, for whether or not they're born here and they have talent, and we want to give them a place to express their talent?
That's right.
Or even attract talent to our area.
That's right.
I think with kids, when I was a prosecutor, I've been a defense attorney. Kenya, you've got 20 years in it. Seeing it on, you get to see all of it come before the court. Court's neutral.
Right.
And I think one thing is that the thing you see with youth who end up later becoming young adults who commit crime is that lack of who they became attached to in the community.
That's right.
If you don't have them in those schools, able to play these programs regardless of income, they will attach to the first person who can give them satisfaction, even if that's a bad
Even if it's a bad, because the bottom line is the media portrays money, right? You have to have money in order to get materialistic things. Yeah. And youth and children do not understand, hey, that's just social media. Yeah. That's what they see. That's what they want. So if this is attracting, right, and we're not doing anything to attract them this way, so they are pulling on our children. And so they are winning. We are losing. And they sit and say, well, I don't know why. You do know why.
Look, I used to
You're
say,
not giving them an alternative.
You're
Not giving them an alternative because they're looking at what they see and they say that this is what I have to
That's
be.
right.
And they don't see where having an education or having talent, whether it be, on a football field or a basketball court, or having, talent, creatively.
Right. And they have to help their mom because sometimes it's not a dad in the household. Let's be true. Yes. Okay. Now I was fortunate to have both of my parents in the household, but I had a best friend who did not. Yeah. And so she stayed at my house a lot. Yeah. She didn't have a father figure in the home. And so when you don't have that and you see your mother working hard and tired all the time, and she's trying to make ends meet, but the lights are still getting turned off, the water is still getting turned off, you're having to catch the bus in the rain to get to the job, you having to go to a second job to make, all of that takes a wear and tear on a child because they see that their mama is trying, but it's just not good enough. So I got to help my mama. And so instead of them going home and studying and reading their books and getting ready for the next day, they're going to do something on the street. They're going something they're doing the streets instead. Because that's how
they know they can make ends meet. That's what they know. That's what they see.
That's right.
I know for at least the last 8 years, every fifth week you're in Morehouse Parish with Judge. I used to always tell people they had the mill up there. The mill closed. And now there's no mill jobs. The Delta Community College was swallowed, and now tuition tripled. And I used to tell them, this is what happens. There are a finite amount of jobs in Morehouse Parish. It might as well be an island because to get to Monroe, it's 20 miles. A lot of people don't have vehicles up there, so they're walking, they're doing whatever. They don't have the transportation to get here. There's no jobs. So what happens is I used to always say Burger King listed a job. 36 people applied for the one job. What are they going to get attracted to? If they don't have these programs, it's come make $8 an hour or come sling dope for $20 an hour.
That's right.
And I said, and it's an easy equation. I used to always say up there, with the way the resources were allocated up there, dope dealing was an honorable profession. Right. Because it was the only way they could make money.
Like, look at me. I sell jewelry, right? My jewelry is only $5, right? How much is a normal drug?
Well,
most people sell between $10, $5.
$10, okay.
Nickel dime.
And so if there were careers or there were jobs that we could show our youth, that instead of you taking $10 to flip in the street illegally, we show you how to take $10 and flip it the correct way and get the same thing. The same thing.
Without the legal liability.
Without all of that. Be a legal person. We have to take ownership as adults and community leaders.
Yes.
We have to say, I'm good, I'm comfortable, my children are good. But for me, that's just not enough for me. I know that my children are going to be okay because I'm going to do everything that I can. They have a village.
But who do they go to school with?
Absolutely. What about those children who don't have that village? What about those children who don't have that extra help? What about them? Who's their advocate? And that's where I come in.
That's where it's at.
That's where it's at. And so at the end of the day, I can sleep good. I can sleep good because when my phone rings, I know that if I can, I will. And if I can't, I'll tell them, honestly, and be truthful, to people. Don't sell them a dream.
No.
I get upset about that. Don't sell these people a dream that can't happen. Give them the logistics. Give them the facts. Give them the options. Let them know this is what you're looking at. This is where it is. And at the end of the day, they'll respect you more.
Yep.
They'll appreciate you more. I get people from all ends of the spectrum. Sometimes my children say, well, why did he hug you? Or why did she hug you? I said, oh, I know them. I was able to help them. But mama, they don't. I said, it doesn't matter how they look.
Yeah.
They know that I have gained their respect. And so I can feel comfortable and not scared. They know she about that. She about it. That's what they say. She's about it. She don't take no stuff, but she cool people. Yeah. At the basketball games, they all love me, and that gives me, great comfort. That allows me to know that I have done something in the community that if I was to die today, that someone could stand up at my funeral and say she was a great person. She had a great heart, and she was definitely for the community.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the problem at the community level? Is it that the money's being spent wrong? Is it that the community leaders are turning a blind eye to it and they're willfully ignorant? Are they just regular ignorant? Or do they just see, or are they just selling short term and neglecting the long term?
So I think it's different things. I think one, sometimes when they get elected and they are in a position, they forget the things that they promised to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do not call them up on it, then it becomes the cycle. It becomes okay. And if they are doing what they should, but then the others are not, then they become a voice that is trying, but it's not enough.
Or is ostracized.
Right. Or you appeal, right. You, oh no, I dare you,
Yeah.
you know? And so that's where the unity comes in, because you have to be unified in order to accomplish anything. And if you cannot put your personal vendettas aside, if you cannot put how others will look at you and listen and figure out a game plan that's going to be effective enough to get the ball rolling for what needs to happen, then we do.
You know, you go to these meetings now. You've been to probably years.
I don't miss the one.
Years worth of them now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what always has struck me is you will spend 90% of time in any municipal meeting, even in state meetings, worried about infrastructure. And I understand the concerns of infrastructure.
Yeah.
But I think a basic tenement infrastructure that's often forgot is the community infrastructure.
Yes. And that is so true.
The human element is just the greatest infrastructure you have.
That's correct. That's
it's
correct.
Often the least talked about.
It's not.
Unless it's crime. Everybody
right.
loves to discuss crime.
Yeah.
But that is one attribute of a whole community.
That's right.
And nobody addresses all the other attributes about it.
No. And what I think should happen, that just not politicians should be in the room.
Yeah.
You're going to have people in the room that probably never would be invited to the room. If you listen to those people and what they have to say, you'll look at things differently. You should change your mind on how you've been functioning and how things have been going. And you'll say, hey, they've given me, a new outlook on things. I learned a lot from older people. Because back in the day, they didn't have all these laws and they didn't have all of these rules, and they figured it out. My grandmother couldn't read or write, but everyone in her neighborhood, and she stayed in, as they say, Booker T. Everyone respected her. She could walk down the street. Drug dealers would walk with her as bodyguards, make sure no one did anything to her. She never had to worry if her house was going to be broken into, even though that was the bad side of town, right? But she had that respect. We have lost the relationships, the unity, the love, and we have embedded now laws and politics. And unless we restructure that and we take a look at things differently and we cast out our personal agendas, we're not going to succeed. It's going to get worse. And I really hate it for our youth, for our school systems, because now it's coming into schools.
Yes, it is.
And then the children are going to school and they're not making it home.
Well, and that's what even one of my fraternity brothers talked about, how they're changing up the lines and they're going to put two rival neighborhoods in one school.
Right.
And so,
now, how safe is that?
I mean, does that mean that either someone at the school board is not listening? Does it mean that we have a problem with why do we have neighborhoods that are fighting with each other in the first place? Mm-hmm. Is it a combination of both? Mm-hmm. What's the problem there?
So I think it's a combination of both. I think when we elect people in, they're not members of gangs.
No.
So they've never experienced gang, activity. They only hear about it, right? Mm-hmm. And so then they are trying to say, well, this is how I feel it should go. But this is not how about I. This is about what the children need. Okay, well, how are you getting to the parents? Or how are you getting to the leaders in the community? Because those people are the ones that they're going to respect. They're not really concerned about who's on the platform. They're concerned about the people that they see every day. Their pastors, their coaches, people who have an impact on them daily. Those are the people who can get to them. Yeah. Right? But if you are just across the panel, you're decorated as a Christmas tree, I call it. You're sitting up there, I, yes, no, adjourn. What is that? You go home, you get in your car, you drive under your garage, you roll your garage down, you go in, you get in your bed, you sleep comfortably. But what about those children who don't do that? What about those children who don't know if they're going to be able to wake up tomorrow and be breathing because bullet holes are going through their door, bullet holes are going through their windows, or they don't have a refrigerator to have food in to eat, and they don't eat again until they get to school. Those are the types of conversations that I think that we need to be having instead of the conversations that we're arguing about on a platform in front of TV stations and social media. We're having the wrong conversations.
So you saying all this, why aren't you gonna have a political office? Why aren't you gonna run for office?
So I think for me, I think they listen better to me when I'm not on the platform, when I'm not decorated like a Christmas tree. Are you
talking about the people that are elected, or are you talking about the people in the community?
I'm talking about both.
Okay.
I'm talking about both. I think that they know that Kenya is down to earth. She's going to be transparent. She's going to be just me. I'm going to be average. I'm going to give it to you from all areas that I can. I'm going to be straightforward with you. And I think people respect people better when they can see the true picture of you. And I think that they know that I'm not going to be decorated, and I'm not going to be on a show front, and I'm not going to promote something that I truly don't believe in. I don't care who you are or what your title is. It doesn't matter to me. What you're going to get from me is honesty, transparency, fairness, and to just be loving and try to unify as much as I can until God calls me home.
Okay. So you've set the stage.
Yes.
What is next for Kenya? What is next for the Monroe Regional Black Chamber of Commerce? Because we talked about these are issues and these are things going on in our community. So what's next? What is it that's next for you?
So next for the Black Chamber of Commerce, we're actually going to have a criminal seminar.
Okay.
And so we are going to allow our community members and leaders and everyone to come in. We're going to give them the full disclosure of the misdemeanor versus a felony. We're going to tell them what it means, as they say, to be on paper. Probation, misdemeanor versus felony. What is an Article 893? What is an Article 894?
And why is it important?
Why is it important? Absolutely. Civil versus criminal. All of a protective order, pleading to a DAB. What does that mean in reference to, me being able to carry a weapon? All of those things, we're going to give them some education on the criminal side of things. So that's one thing we have going on. The next thing is we will be doing lunch with the exec, which will be me. So on Fridays during lunch hour, I will be asking, they can submit Q&A questions. And so whether it's about the business or about communities, they'll be able to actually ask, and I'll give them answers. And if I don't have the answers, then I'll tell them I don't have the answer, but I'm going to get the answer to you. We're going to do more awareness this year. It's good to have, events and, banquets and all of that. But for our community, it's a little different. We need that intimate, close, up personal type relationship. We need to be able to take their hands and guide them through the motion and not put it on a big screen and say, hey, today we're going to talk about, that goes over their head.
Yes.
They need a little bit more in the classroom. And so that is our strategy for this year. I'm very excited about it. I'm anxious to get us into a better financial standpoint for our businesses and our nonprofits. They need that. If they are nonprofits and they are not 501c3, we want to get them there.
Yeah.
We want them to be able to properly be able to be in a predicament to qualify for grants and be able to bid on those. We want to make sure that if they want to do a line of credit or a loan, that they are ready. Their finances are in order. They need to make sure, that they're not mingling their money. If you're a business, you need a business checking account versus your personal. So there are some things, some educational pieces that we're going to do. And then we're going to do some social networking. We have Juneteenth coming up. That will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all day events coming up. We got some lot of things coming up. In reference to me, Kenya gonna be Kenya. Kenya gonna be Kenya. I'm gonna serve as much as I can. I'm getting married June 24th.
Congratulations.
So thank you.
Congrats.
So I'm gonna enjoy my significant other, and I'm gonna try to be the best mom that I can. And that's pretty much what's in store.
So has there been a sort of a theme for on the chamber side of things? Has there been a theme?
Yes.
For whether it be 2023 or maybe it's 23 and 24?
We are one.
Okay. All right.
We
And so
are
that
one.
is 2023.
That's 2023 all day.
Okay. And so what does We Are One? Because I feel like we've already talked about it.
But
if there's something we haven't touched on, what is it?
So I get all the time asked, Black chamber. So that means you have to be an African American to join that chamber, right? Absolutely incorrect. What that means is you understand the struggles and the opposition that African Americans have had to deal with, and you embrace that. We love everyone. We want every single individual to be a part of our chamber. We service 13 parishes. That's what makes us so unique. We're not just Ouachita Parish. All of those rural areas, East Carroll, West Carroll, Lincoln, Morehouse, Union, Tensaw, all of those are my parishes. And so we are going to all of those parishes, putting our touch on to make them a better community. And so for me, my personal desire is to look out at a meeting and see Black, white, all together and saying, I'm a part of the Black Chamber of Commerce. That's my ultimate goal.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, I can take you back to the criminal seminar. Me and Keith field leads all day long for expungements. And it is shocking how many people have pled guilty to a crime and have no idea. The common one we get is well, why can't I have a gun?
Yes.
Or
yes.
I thought this just went away. In fact, we had
those are the two.
We had to do a tutorial on people who pled guilty and said, oh, I pled guilty, but part of the deal is that it would just go away.
Yeah.
And you have to explain to them, no, you didn't.
Yes.
No, we have to go back in. I can't tell you, it's dozens of times every few months that we have to go in and file and say, you could have gotten an Article 894, 893. So we have to go ask the court to give it to them.
Right.
And one time we were charging for it. I think we've actually stopped because there's so many of them that has to be done.
Right.
And it's shocking the amount of people who know so little about the conviction that they gained and the detriment it was to them.
Or the fact that the lawyer that they had, whether appointed or retained, did not educate them on that point or did not think that was an important point to either ask for, request, plea bargain for, or much less educate their client on.
That's right. And that way, and see, with this seminar, that's why now they would know what their options are. Because it's just like when you go to a bank or you're buying a car, you want to know your options.
Yep.
When you're shopping around, you want to know your options. So why can't a defendant shop around, know their option, know what the best, option or plan for them is? So when they come and say, hey, this is what I'm needing, can you do this for me as an attorney?
And I'm so glad you said it because I've told other lawyers this. I've told really anyone that would listen to me in the last month. I've always done this, but it really hit home because I had one client in particular this last month that clients are starved for information and education. Yes. And I do my best to break things down and I talk really fast and I use a lot of legal terms of art in the way I talk, but still I do my best to make it clear that, okay, you have option A or B or C. Here's what A looks like. Here's what that process is. Here's what B looks like. Here's what that process looks like. And there are clients that just say, my lawyer said I should take this deal because it's a good one.
Yeah.
And so based on what? Based on what? I don't know. They just said, okay, so why would you take the deal? I don't know. I don't want to take the deal because I don't know why I should plead. And so my thing, and what I've done this really ever since 2015 when I came into this, was that whenever I get a plea offer, number one, criminal clients think that whenever you make a plea offer, especially whenever they're so used to hearing, here's the plea, you should take it. And they said, and so Clint, I've had clients get mad at me for letting them know that there is a plea offer. And I have to tell them, I'm not telling you to take this.
Right.
In fact, what I try and do, or in fact, what I absolutely do every time is whenever I have a client and they have a plea offer, I said, look, plea offers are good, bad, or ugly. Good plea offers we accept. Right. We may tweak to add an 893 or an 894 to make sure that's included in there. We may say we want $1,000 fine instead of $1,500 fine, but we accept good plea offers. Right. Okay. Don't get me wrong, you have your absolute right to a trial, but my professional advice is going to be to accept it.
That's right.
We have ugly plea offers. Ugly plea offers, we counter offer, and we counter offer heavy. Okay. We say instead of 5 years in jail, we're going to say, no, we're going to suspend those 5 years, place on 3 years probation, that kind of thing. That's option number two. You have ugly plea offers, and we counter offer those. And then if it's a bad plea, I'm going to tell you it's a bad plea offer.
Let's go to trial.
Here's why it's a bad plea offer, and we're going to go to trial because I can do just the same thing there. Right. I can lose and get the same thing.
And that's giving them all their options.
Exactly.
That's giving them all their options, and that's allowing them to know he has advocated for me the best that he can. It's now in my hands, and I decide now what I want to do.
Exactly. I can't tell you how many times, and I know over a dozen, and it happens a year that we have people fill out their arrest by arrest form. They're in an active case with an attorney, and they say, but he didn't tell me how it would work with possibly expunging it or doing anything. And we have to tell them, hey, look, and I'll send them the key, say, hey, this is an active lead more on the criminal side. He'll reach out to them, come to find out they're in a case. They want to resolve it to where they can get expungement, and nobody has ever explained to them how to set that up. If that's the avenue you want to go, and look, let's accept it. People accept fault. That's justice. That's how it happens. But justice doesn't mean you can't erase it.
That's
right. You can't take care of it.
And it doesn't mean that you can't become better from that.
Yeah, that's it.
People make mistakes every day.
I tell people all the time when they used to hire me from criminal cases, I said, you can be one of two people. You can either be a career criminal or a dillywad. We want you to be a dillywad who just made a mistake. But these people will fill out the form because they have never been explained how it will affect them the day after they plead guilty. It's all what happens when you sentence. Yeah. So it's amazing that y'all are going to put that on. We'd love to take part in it.
And we would love to have you on. I talked to, Keith about it, and he told me, he said, hey, we would love to be a part. Yes. And that's what it's all about. I want it to be diverse. I want them to look up and not see all African Americans. I want them to see we have some unified people in this town. They are part of the Black Chamber. They are for making a difference. They want to be impactful. You all are young and creative. I love it. I am honored to be here today. This really, I wasn't sure how it was going to be, but I love it. I really do. And I think this is something that y'all need to keep forward. Y'all need to keep it going. I think this is something that's going to turn into something.
I think it is.
Bigger.
It's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's been great dialogue.
And just let them, no script.
Oh, absolutely not.
Off the top. You just coming off top. And that way it flows. It's genuine. Yeah. It's no script. I love that. Love it.
Right. Well, we end everything with one question.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so there is a script, and it's one question. One question is what I told you was there's one thing I can guarantee that we're going to ask you.
Okay.
And it's going to be the citizen effect is you come into a space, you find something, and you are determined to leave it better than you found it. We've touched a little bit on the criminal system. We've talked a lot about the community. We've talked about how the Monroe Regional Black Chamber of Commerce plays into the community. So, and we've talked about you.
Yes.
Because you are more than just those things. And you've said it, but I want to be absolutely clear on the record.
Okay.
What is Kenya's citizen effect? What is going to be your legacy?
My legacy is changing the dynamics of diversity in this community. Making sure that it doesn't matter the color of your skin. It matters on what's in your heart and how you perform with your heart.
Wow.
Couldn't have said it better.
I don't think we could have.
I think that
better.
sums up an hour of it.
Yeah.
Well, Kenya, I enjoy it. I'm Devin Jones. I'm partner to Orm Young. I'm half Race My Rest. This is Keith Whiddon.
And Keith Whiddon, 100% of Whiddon Criminal Defense, 50% of Erase My Arrest. It's been the Citizen Effect podcast. Kenya, one more time for the people that stuck around to the end. Where can they find you in the Monroe Regional Black Chamber of Commerce?
On Monroe Black Chamber for all of the social media, or Kenya Roberson, all of the social media platforms. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
No, thank you.